right, so it's already 1 minute after the 11 a.m. Welcome, everyone. And let me first introduce the first exercise that we will be doing before everybody will be connecting to our webinar. And it's the networking, because Capacity for Dev is for the development professionals. We would like you to show actually our community at the beginning, and therefore we prepared a networking for the first 10 minutes where you will be able to introduce yourself. And here you can see already my shared screen. So how does it work is that you unmute yourself and introduce yourself. So in this case, my name is Marie Zametsnikova, and I am the project manager of Capacity for Dev. And then what do you expect from this webinar so I can customize it to your needs. So in this case, I am here to provide you effective support as our community. And you can also mention where you are based or where is your current mission in which country. So who would like to start to introduce themselves to our community? Don't hesitate to just unmute yourself. Hello, Mohammed. I saw that you were unmuted.
Hello, I was just joining the call. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So if you can maybe tell your name, your position, and your expectations from this webinar.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Mohammed Kumsha. I'm working for the Partnership for Afghan Refugees in Iran, funded by INSPA, which is led by NRC. So I work for NRC, but at the consortium coordination unit. So I'm responsible for updating the log frame and also updating OPSIS. Yeah.
Thank you very much for mentioning this, and thank you for your introduction. OPSIS is one of the biggest groups that we have on Capacity for Dev, so for sure I will be also covering on how to use it, what it is. So thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you very much.
Who else would like to introduce themselves to our community? I see maybe Maria.
Hello, I take the floor also to introduce myself as the user support manager here in Capacity for Dev. I work with Marie. My name is Maria Sanch, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm based in Brussels, by the way.
Thank you, Maria. So Maria is the first point of contact for you when you are writing us any query. So when you write into the capacity at support at capacity4dev.eu, Maria will for sure put also the email address into the chat. So anytime when you have any kind of query, you can write into this support mailbox, and Maria will then reply to your query or anything that you might be wondering. So I see also in this call other people. So for example, I see Sarah Leitinen. If I think that I don't pronounce it well at all, but maybe you might correct me. And if not, then usually we have more people during our onboarding webinars, and there is a lot of actually positive connotation about the networking. So then I would like to put you a poll if you can just answer a few questions inside the poll. So just let me to launch it. So now you should have the pop-up on your screen. When you hear Capacity for Dev, what's the first word that come to your mind? So it can be anything that might come to your mind when it's Capacity for Dev. So if you can just write one word that Capacity for Dev is actually triggering in you. I see learning, somebody put. Also sharing, education. Nice. Yeah, so you are indeed in a really right place. Then support. is the fourth one. That's very interesting. Education again, networking. Nice. Yeah, networking is definitely one of the parts for the development professionals where they can meet and collaborate together in the different spaces. I will also tell you more about the features a bit ahead in our onboarding webinar and what will be the structure. So first, we will have this kind of exercise for first 10 minutes because I want to know what what is your knowledge so I can navigate the webinar to your needs. So yes, I also see indicators. That's very interesting. So now let me close this poll and put another question, which is how did you learn about Capacity4dev? So now you should be able to see a poll. How did you learn about Capacity4dev? So either from the social media, recommendation from the colleague or friend, or the internet search or other. I see that there is a recommendation from a colleague or friend. Also other, some people put the internet search. The recommendation from a colleague is so far taking over the whole result. That's very interesting. So, and my last question for the introduction will be, are you planning to open a space? This one is mainly for the people who came here to actually then have their own group, project, or any other space on Capacity4dev. I will be talking about what are the differences and how you can become a space manager. But here is now the poll which should appear on your screen, which is yes, I want to open a group. Yes, I want to open a project. Or yes, I want to open a resource. Of course, it might also be that you don't want to open any kind of space. So then you just put no plans as of now. I see that there is one person want to open group, one person want to open project, but most of the people would rather not yet open it, but maybe I will change your mind more further in the onboarding webinar. So this is really interesting. So let me then close this poll and let's jump then further into the onboarding webinar. So let me just share my full screen. And yes, so hello everyone and welcome to our onboarding webinar. Onboarding webinar is for all newly registered people on Capacity4dev. Capacity4dev is the platform for the development professionals. So I assume that all of you are working in the development field. So for example, one of our community member who had a chance to actually tell us more about his activities was Mohammed, who works with Afghan refugees and he's providing them a support. So this is definitely the place for you to be because Capacity4dev will help you with the collaboration and facilitate your daily life, usually professional one in this case. So what will we cover? First of all, what is Capacity4dev? Then we will also tell you more about who can use the platform, what are the features available for you, how you can benefit from being a user. Then, of course, we will also tackle in case that you have some issues with logging in or registration. But I think that most of you are registered when you received the invitation to this webinar. And then also how to use the platform. At the end, you will also have a chance to again unmute yourself and ask any question, or you can also use the chat where you can write the question directly and Maria will then be available for you to also answer it in the chat but there will be also question and answer slot at the end. So what is Capacity4dev? Capacity4dev is a DG International Partnerships online knowledge sharing platform, which was launched in 2009. So we already have quite a big history of being on the internet. It has also the leading position on knowledge sharing in the field of external relations because there is the community of the Relax family. So you can find the users on Capacity4dev, for example, from the EUDs, or also from the different Directorate General of the European Commission, or even European External Action Service, and many others. Also, community, it's a community of development professionals. So as you could hear from the networking part, but also much more. But I will speak about more in details about the community on our next slide. Also, good to know is that last year, actually, we will have really soon the anniversary of the migration, because last year in May 2023, the Capacity4dev has been migrated to more advanced platform. So we have currently new visual, we have new features, new function, and I will also show it to you in practice in our virtual tour. So this is just for your information that this was happening last year. So it's totally brand new platform since the last year. So, and when you ask, so what do you actually do as the support of Capacity4dev? So then we connect, we collaborate, we exchange, and we do it worldwide. In this case, we connect development professionals like you. We foster the collaboration among you. So there are some exciting activities planned for this year, such as, for example, the focus groups or even networking opportunities and many others. We also facilitate exchange of expertise. So, for example, there are people who are experts in water sanitation or even the gender equality or many others. And we do it around the world. So there are people not only from the Europe, but also from other continents and other countries. So who can use Capacity4dev? Capacity4dev is used by on average 300 new members per month, which is actually the 300 means the request. So usually we receive 300 new requests for registrations. And why I'm mentioning this, it's mainly that we are a really secured platform. So all of the members that are registering go through the human validation. In this case, they go through the Maria, who is here in this call, and she's validating all of the users if they are not, for example, some spammers, if they will contribute well to our community, etc. So in this case, you could receive when you were registering, for example, some notification that your account is pending validation. So then it's pending the validation from our user support manager. In a case that you have some issues with the registration or with login, then please write into the chat Word account so that Maria can check directly what is the issue with your account on Capacity4dev. So just write the word account in the chat, and we will check directly what might be the issue. And in a case, we can also tackle with you how to then fix it out. So write account into the chat if you have some issues. Also, the community is composed by many different people from different fields. I already mentioned, for example, EU institutions or Relax family, which is, for example, FPI, DG NIR, DG INPA, and many others. Then we also have governments. So people, for example, from Belgian government, Czech government, or Portuguese government are also on our platform, but not only from the Europe. We also have international organizations such as GIZ or others. NGO and civil society also find their voice on Capacity4dev. And then academia. Academia, we are talking about professors, but also students. So many times we, for example, get requests from the master degree students or bachelor degree students who are looking for more information, and then we can actually connect them with the right people to answer their questions or interviews or questionnaires, whatever they might need. And the last but not least is the private sector, such as consultants or experts on the field and experts in general. So this is Capacity4dev and its community. So then you can ask, all right, but what is actually the added value of Capacity4dev? Isn't it actually the next LinkedIn? Cannot I just be on already mainstream platforms such as the social media? So what is the added value of Capacity4dev? So the added value is that Capacity4dev is the only collaborative platform where all RELX family members interact with equal access. So this means that we were actually facing challenges inside the different institutions that, for example, EUDs are using different kind of communication platforms than, for example, European Commission. Then DG International Partnership came with an alternative that they want to launch Capacity4dev, where all of the RELX family members will be able to register and communicate together in the different spaces. In this case, we are usually distinguishing between the public, restricted, or private environments, which is very important. And if you don't know the difference between these three, I will be talking about it during our virtual tour. The Capacity4dev is also hosted within the EU institutions in a secure IT environment. So this is also a question that is frequently asked, which is, all right, but I don't want to provide my personal data to some platform. So in this case, it's really hosted within the EU institution, and our IT experts are also inside the Commission. The Capacity4dev is community created platform from 80%. It means that the content that you find usually on Capacity4dev is created by our community. So, for example, let's take the expert in water sanitation who is called Lucy. Lucy is writing, for example, inside her own group, Water Sanitation, the different articles that she provides more information about it. She also provides there the info about the group, what people can do. She's also facilitating the discussions. And this is what we mean by community created platform. So 80% is actually created by you. And this is very important because then we don't do in-house the proofreading of the different articles. We don't open every content that is published on Capacity4dev, but you can really benefit from open discussions and open content created by our community on different topics. I said 80%, and the 20% of the content is actually created by our editorial team. So it's not only me and Maria who are providing the support, but there are many other team members behind the scenes who are actually working on facilitating the best lessons learned. In this case, we have the communication officer as well as the content curator. But there is also the IT and business that is also behind the scenes helping to run smoothly the whole platform. We are also active on the different social media, such as X, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So you can definitely follow us there. Just write there Capacity4dev. And also a bit of heads up. A multilingual website is currently in the process. So in the really near future, you can get excited about a website which is not only in English, but will be also in French and Spanish. So what features are available on the platform? There are 4 different features that you can benefit from. The first is groups. The groups I will also show you then in the practice where you can find them. And groups are mainly dedicated spaces for collaboration and interactivity. You can, for example, answer the different discussions, you can get into the discussions, you can publish different library items in the discussions, and you can get really the collaborative sense of our platform on specific topics or geographical areas. Then the next one is projects. Projects are sharing and showcasing new, ongoing, and past projects. So let's say that, for example, there is a project which is running. For example, this would be really good for Mohammed, who is working with Afghan refugees in Iran. And in this case, he can, for example, open a project on our platform where he will provide all of the information about the project that he's foreseeing, where he's working on, and he can then spread the word around this exact project, what are the lessons learned, and different documents that might be useful for the future similar projects like his. Project is something like external website. This is very useful for the people who don't necessarily have website building skills or who don't want to invest their money from the project to the website. In this case, they can just simply open a project on Capacity4dev because it works on the same basis and it's free and lasting. So it means that you don't need to pay, for example, web developer, or you don't need to pay the hosting. Everything is free on Capacity4dev, and it's also lasting. This is the three different distinguish in this sense, new, ongoing, and past. So actually, let's say that, for example, Lucy, who was the expert of the water sanitation, she would like to tell us more about the water sanitation in, let's say, for example, Africa. And therefore, she can open a project on Capacity4dev and tell lessons learned from her water sanitation missions. She, let's say, can already introduce this project on Capacity4dev, even though it didn't yet started contractually. So let's say that she already knows that she will get the EU funding, but it starts in the near future. So then you would mark it on Capacity4dev as not started yet. If it's already ongoing for the 4 years, so let's say from April 2024 until 2028, she can mark it as ongoing. And then what's then? I mean, like if then the project ends in 2028, you don't want to just delete all of the information what you have done, because people can use this information and use it for their future projects. So then she can just mark it as completed. However, it's still available on Capacity4dev as a repository of the achievements and lessons learned. Then the next one is resources. This one is really specific and it's currently open to wider public. So anybody can actually open the resource on Capacity4dev. This was not the case until May last year. So on our old platform, the resources were only really the EU official, which means, for example, Team Europe initiative, results and indicators, and others. However, now you can also open your own resource, but be mindful about its criteria. Resource doesn't mean a material. So it's not, for example, you don't want to open a resource if you want to just upload one document which you want to then share with your units. Resource is actually a place where you want to share the horizontal methodologies and then build upon this knowledge, or you want to really provide it to the public and also other projects and groups that might be benefiting from it. When you scroll down in a Capacity4dev in the footer, you will find help and support guidance where actually are listed all of the conditions. And in a nutshell, usually we are approving all of the projects and groups. 99% we usually approve them, that they are really adding value to our community. But when it comes to resources, we are more strict. So we really assess all of the criteria in help and support, which I will also show you a bit later. The last but not least are articles. These are usually collaboration between editorial team and and for example units in DG INPA, and there are lessons learned from professionals in the field. So this is also another feature that you can observe, that where you can also currently find, for example, podcasts. So let's say that you are not really a reading person, then you can just open the podcast and you can listen it on your way to work. So this is a diagram. If you want to create a space on Capacity4dev, how would you actually act on your decision making? In this case, if you want to have interactions with the members, you would open a group. So here is the yes. If you don't want to have interactions with the members, for some reason you don't have capacity to, for example, manage the space, then you want to just share knowledge publicly about your project, then it would be the project, the one that you want to open on our platform. And then if you don't want even to share the knowledge publicly, but it's, for example, more horizontal, non-thematic resource, then of course it's the resource that you can open. We will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation with you in the thank you note, and as well as the recording from this session, so you don't need to be afraid that, for example, you would not get this slide. So now, I was speaking quite a lot about theory, and I'm always saying that the most valuable is practice. So now it's the time for the virtual tour where I will show you the platform and how does it actually work in practice. But before we will jump ahead to this, I would like to share with you some more questions from the poll, so I know what to show you during during our virtual tour. So the first one will be your plans. So this is very important for me to know. So how frequently do you plan to visit Capacity4dev? Daily, weekly, monthly, or rarely? So this will help me to tell you more about how you can actually navigate with the platform itself. So you can just answer one of the multiple questions. I see that somebody said daily, so that's great, but mostly it will be monthly. That's very interesting. Somebody weekly. So that's really interesting for us to know, because also Capacity4dev is a platform. Some people are saying that it's an alternative to, for example, LinkedIn, but more narrow in the sense that it's for development professionals. However, when we see, for example, the results like this from the poll, that most of the people would like to see it monthly, we then know how to navigate the different features and functions. So this is very interesting. And the second question I would like to share with you is how do you plan to use the Capacity4dev? So let me share with you the second question. Here you can select more choices. So the first one is networking with professionals. The second one is sharing knowledge and resources. Then learning from existing content. The fourth one is contributing to discussions and content. And the fifth one is seeking partnership for projects. So you can put your answers, either one or two or even all of them. How do you feel like? And I see that most of the people are answering learning from existing content, which is great because there is a lot of content on Capacity4dev which you can learn from. Then we also have two other that are the next ones. It's the sharing knowledge and resources together with contributing to discussions and content. And now also networking made it to the second most popular. So this is very interesting. As I mentioned, this year we are planning a lot of networking activities. And now I will share with you the last poll, which is which features of Capacity4dev do you find most valuable? And here you can choose just only one option. So which features of Capacity4dev do you find most valuable? Is it actually the discussions and the groups that you can interact with the members? Is it the resource libraries such as documents, videos? Or is it the news and updates on development work? Because we have many development professionals who are providing the recent news, networking opportunities, or training and learning. So, for example, the resources that we were speaking about, that you can actually go and see the horizontal resources which you can then apply to your project or group. And the last, project and program to showcase. So you have one option, and I see that mostly it's the resources that people are interested in. And the next one is then discussion and groups together with resources and libraries. I also see that the number of responses increase. That's great. So, all right. So I then know what we can speak about during our virtual tour. So let me then close the poll and I will share my screen. Here we go. So I am now in the home of Capacity4dev and I am logged in. You can see here if you have my profile on the top of the screen. And here you can see latest community activities. It is very important actually because when you click on the home, it's your personalized feed. So during the registration, you have fill out all of your interests, the country interests or topic interests that you are interested in general. So in this case, we are using algorithm of Capacity4dev. So let's say that I'm interested in water sanitation and gender equality. I really like the topic of water sanitation. I don't know why, but I'm using it always during the webinars. And then I am interested either in the continent, for example, Africa, or I can also choose the countries such as Afghanistan. And then I will get the most up-to-date content here on the home. So first is featured. This is usually featured by our editorial team. So this is the most up-to-date article that they have published. However, then when you scroll more down, you will receive other contents that might be of interest to you. So for example, a user added a new content, or projects suggested to you, or other different interesting events, projects, etc. So you can browse here and see what is the most up-to-date content. Also here on the right sidebar, you can see the followers, or also suggestions, or we call it who to follow. This is working on the same basis as for example, LinkedIn. So if I'm following here Arthur, who is director at the Media Diversity Institute NGO, I will be receiving a notification what Arthur is actually liking on Capacity4dev or following, etc. So then I can find in the members different people who are interested in the similar countries, in the similar interests, and I can then follow up on what they actually follow, what they read, and we can have then the up-to-date content shared among us. Then next to the home here you have a topics. This is a very important search on Capacity4dev. Of course, alongside the main global search here on the top, but usually our users, they are searching by topics. So here you can find the topics of your interest. So for example, health. Here are also subtopics which are being still revised by our business in collaboration with different INPA units. So in the near future, there will be not that many subtopics, but mainly here the topics. So let's say that your group is based on the health, then you would click here on the health and it would bring you to the health topic where you can find the most up-to-date featured topic on health from from our editorial team, or the most up-to-date content by our community. So some events that you might attend in case that you're interested in health, or other different content such as projects, etc. You can also here use the filters, for example, library. So all of the materials based on health, resources, articles, really all of these different filters you can use. We also know that development professionals are sometimes using more SDGs than, for example, INTPA units topics. So as you can see, these topics are based on the INTPA units. However, here on the left sidebar, you have also SDGs. So in case that you know what SDGs you are tackling, for example, climate action, then you will receive all of the topics that are tackling the climate action. So then you can simply just browse again the topics. Another very interesting another interesting search is countries. Here you can, for example, browse on our interactive map. So you can choose the different countries, click on them. So for example, Germany, you can see also how many groups are published on the topic of Germany, projects, discussions, library items, etc. You can also go to the country and then browse more in depth the different groups, project discussions, etc. Then next to the countries, we have articles. This is all about our editorial team, where you can find the articles, the podcast. So this is, for example, an instance of the podcast, which you can then directly also listen to on our platform or on the SoundCloud. We are also currently observing an option to have Spotify, because we also know that the users are rather on Spotify than, for example, on the SoundCloud, but currently it's hosted only there. And you can also use the filters. So this is where you will find the official lessons learned, proofread, and also revised by the different units. Then next to the articles are resources. These are the key EU official resources. So a really traditional one is, for example, results and indicators for development, Team Europe initiative, working better together, SDG mapper. So you just actually simply click on it and you can navigate the different topics and also thematic indicators. The next one is also recent resources. So these are published by our community. As I said, we will have anniversary since the migration, but it will be also anniversary for our resources, because for 1 year already, our users can actually submit their own resources, and these are some of them. In case you would like to see the whole list of the resources, then you just hover over the browse content and here you can click the resources. You can also ask, yeah, but there are like 2 times resources. Isn't it a bug? Because it looks like duplication. No, it's actually how it's defined. And it's because if you click here on the resources, you will get a really nice list of all of the resources, which you can also filter. So let's say that this one, which is on the main navigation bar, it's really just to give you an instance of what the resources are and what are the key EU resources. However, here you can find all of the list of all resources. The same is also for the groups. So the groups from the theory, what we already mentioned, are the interactive spaces. So in this case, I'm also logged in with my site administrator. So you can see here the navigation bar, which you usually don't have. So just disregard it because you will also not have it. The same also for this yellowish background because these are the projects which are not yet published. But let's say that you have here the groups, and on the right top, you can also create a group yourself. When you, for example, decide after this webinar to have your own group that you want to collaborate with other international, other development professionals, then you have to fill out here all of the mandatory fields, and it's really easy. So you fill out the name of your group, the summary. So this is the short description. Let me just show you what the summary is. So in this case, when we go to the group, the summary is the short description. So this is the summary. It's around 200 characters in total. So you just put here the summary, then you have the description. The description is actually here when you open it. And here, this is the description. We usually encourage the users and the space managers to have as big description as possible, because this is the first place where the users are looking for the information. Then we also have the language. So you choose which language your group speaks about. Speaks in, then you choose the topics. So this is very important, because the more topics you tackle, the more users will see it on their personalized feed. Then you have also countries, in case that you don't want to, for example, put all of the continents and countries, then you can just simply put worldwide. Of course, then banner. Here are the pixels and what is the size of the banner. When we talk about the banner, it's actually this picture when you open the group. So it's usually a rectangular shape. And this one in the list, the square shape, is the thumbnail, which is also mandatory then in the bottom. So in this case, the pixels, if you want to have a square, it should be, for example, 44 times 44, because then it will give you the square. In the rectangular shape, you have here the recommendation. Then you will also choose the access. So we have 3 different access visibility of the group, which is public, restricted, and private. The public is that any user can actually see it on Capacity4dev. And you can also then choose if you want all of the members to request to join. So then you will receive an email as a space manager that this person wants to join your group, or on the other side, join button, so they can just automatically join. It's in the case that you don't have a lot of capacity to, for example, approve all of the members. Then you can choose also restricted. In this case, you choose the email domain. So let's say that you want your group to be visible only for the people from the commission. So then you would put here at and then, for example, ec.europa.eu or Gmail, etc. So then it will show up only to the people who are actually having that exact domain upon the registration on Capacity4dev. Or you can choose private. This one is closed. It's only upon the invitation. So then you need to invite all of the users, either if they are members of Capacity4dev or via email. And then they will receive also the email to register on the platform to have access to your group. This is optional. You can also have related content to it. And then the message to site administrator. This is the message to Maria and also to one of the EU official. So you can say, for example, hi, I intend to open this group on gender equality because I saw that, for example, there is no this kind of group on Capacity4dev. So it can support your validation. And then you simply click on Save Changes. So this is how you would be submitting a group, but it's also give you kind of an overview of as a user, how the groups are actually behaving. So what do you see usually inside your profile are the public groups or restricted groups based on your domain, and also the groups based on your interests. Also, when you click on the group, then you can like it, bookmark it. So bookmark it if you want to come back to it in the near future. So it's something like save. You can also like it, or you can also share it on the different platforms. When you are also inside some group, for example, I really like this one on environment. when the search will actually allow it to us. So environment, climate change, and green economy. And here you have the overview. So description, you have also owners and administrators, the people who are actually then here observing this exact group. You have then info page. So when you are when you are a member, you can here find all of the static pages about what the group is about, and also other, for example, contacts, useful links, etc. Also then the discussions, so what do people discuss inside this group. Then you have the library, so all of the documents and PowerPoint presentations, who posted. You can also here, for example, filter it. If you are a member, if you are a space manager, then you also have possibility to actually spread around the different documents into the folders. You can also see the different members that are inside the group, and you can also see the events if any are here. So this button manage group you would have available if you are the space manager of this group. And on the case, if you are a user, you would, in this case, just click on request membership and request group membership. And then some of the space managers would then approve your membership. So you can see your request is waiting approval. And here you can also see related groups, projects, also related topics, etc. So this is how you usually navigate the group. Here you can also see if it's public, restricted, or private, how many different members, discussions it has when it was actually created. And this is how the groups looks like. Next to the groups, we have projects. As we said before, the projects are something like the website. It's mainly for the knowledge sharing. So let's go, for example, here to the EU DEAR program. And here you can see how does it look like. So here we have description. All of the structure looks very similar as, for example, for the group. The only difference is that there are no discussions, but there are news. This is because projects are not intended for discussions or collaborations, but rather for the knowledge sharing. Also, if you want some kind of customization, if you want to, for example, customize this navigation bar and become a space manager in project, then this is more free because you can customize your own navigation bar. So, for example, instead of events, you can put conferences. This is not the case for the groups, but the basic is the very same. Follow, bookmark, like, share. You can find the events, the info, etc. Also here you have, for example, ongoing or completed or not started yet, as we spoke about it before. And when you want to request a project, so if you want to become a space manager in project, then you just click here on the project. But the whole form is very same as, for example, the group. So again, you put the type, program, project, the stage, name, summary, description, all of the information that are needed. Here we have a slide back, so it tells that you need to provide also a map, but in this case you can just remove it here on the right with the 3 dots. So when you click on remove, it's hidden and it's not mandatory anymore. And you can add it in case that you need it after when we validate your project. It will be in the draft and you can add it anytime you want, but in the first submission it is not needed. We are currently working on enhancement of this. And then message to Maria, and then you just click on save changes and that's it. Then you can also see all of the view of discussions, library, articles, and this one is very interesting with this, which is members, which might be at your convenience. So here you can find all of the members. You can also search by, for example, organizations. So we are, for example, looking for the people from the EU institutions. And we are looking for the people, let's say children and youth. So it will give you all of the people who are working in the EU institutions and who are also interested in children and youth. So in this case, you can first of all follow them, or you can also contact them. So we have this chat function where you can write, for example, different message to them, and you can then get in contact with them. You can also here sort it by most active, relevance, recently joined, etc. When we are talking about the chat, you can also here find the different functions of in your profile. So you click on your profile, and here when you click on messages, you will find all of your chat messages. So here is the chat function. You also have your own statistics. So here you see how many discussions you have been participating, etc. Also your bookmarks. You can also revise your network, so who you follow, who are your followers, etc. Here you can also find the whole overview of all of the spaces, so the spaces you are member of. But when you click on overview, you can find here that of which groups, project, or resources you are admin or administrator or owner of. So this is where you find all of your spaces. Also, when you click on My Settings, you can also tweak your, for example, interests. I will not click on it because in this case, when I'm logged in with the site admin, it gives totally different view than when you are logged in with the user. So here, if you click on it, you can tweak your profile. You can add your profile picture, your organization, your location, but also you can give approval if you want that the people will be able to contact you. So as you could see here, when you click on the members, not all of the people have this contact button. It means that they didn't give us the consent to actually be contacted. In this case, you can do it in your settings. So this is just in a nutshell of what Capacity4dev can do and what you can also do. The last but not least is here the global yellow button post content, which is very important. And here you can start to contribute to our community right away. So first you choose if you want to start a discussion, create an event, a library, item, etc. So let's say that I want to post a discussion. Here you choose in which group you want to post discussions, because discussions are only in the groups. So let's say that I want to publish it in these 3 public groups, and then I just click on next. However, you can see that if you publish something in a public group, it's no longer possible in the private. It doesn't work like this, so you need to choose if you want to publish it in public or the private space. And you can choose only one space. So what we recommend, so let's say that you are a group owner of both, of the Innovation Policy Network public group, but also private, and you don't want to duplicate your work. So then we recommend to publish discussions first in the public group, and then actually reshare it in the private. So now you just click on next. And now in this form, you already know, you just put the title, the type of discussion, you fill out what you want to post on Capacity4dev, and that's it. When I said that you can actually post something in other groups, so let's say that you are an expert interested in environment, and you found something interesting that you would like to share in more than one group. You go, for example, here, this is a photo in library item. You can also open a photo, etc. And when you click on share, here, this button will appear. It's Capacity4dev. So when you click on it, you can actually reshare it, for example, in as many groups, public and private, as you want. So this is how you can then reshare it in the different spaces. So I think that I spoke quite a lot for now. So I would like to now give you a space to actually ask any question that you might have. I don't know, Maria, if there was some activity in the chat while I was speaking.
Not
So then I would like to give you floor. Anybody who might have a question, just unmute yourself or raise your hand. And I would like to give you floor to speak about what, for example, you need clarification about or I need to elaborate on. I actually see that Develias is writing something. So if you want, you can also unmute yourself and ask anything. But you're writing that everything was clear, so that's great. That's good to know that everything was clear from what we were saying. So if you want to ask us any question, just unmute yourself and we can also discuss, for example, your individual case, how to get an outreach, because I also see that in the audience is Dimitrios, who is our communication officer. So maybe while we have the last 4 minutes, yes, Serani.
Hello, I'm from the private sector. I'm a team leader for the ROM service contract for the enlargement region. And I am very interested also in the resources because that helps us to give better services to the EU delegations and the junior units. But I have noticed that when I really want to then open a specific resource, a specific document, I often have no access.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very frustrating because we really want to understand also what the operational managers are thinking about or learning on, or what are their sources, and what can I do then?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is a really good question. And this is usually because the resource, in this case, you are referring to the documents. I guess it's not the resource as the space, but rather,
Yes,
for example,
the documents, exactly.
So then it means that usually it is actually published in the restricted space, but we would need to investigate on the individual basis. So then if you can reach out to us on support@capacity4dev.eu, and we can tell you why it's restricted for you. But if it's really then published in the restricted space, we would then get you in touch with the owners and administrators to actually raise this problematic, because it's for your work, you want to benefit from it. So then either they would provide it to you via email, or they would also rethink to, for example, add the new domain. So I don't know what is your organization, but they can then add, for example, your domain as part of the restricted group. And therefore, not only you, but also your colleagues would then have access to these documents. So this is usually treated on individual basis. We need to find the reason why, and then we will get you in touch with that exact specific person who is responsible for that space.
Okay, thank you. I will then go to the support, capacity support. I just didn't know what to do then. It's usually guidelines, which should be maybe even available. Thanks.
Yes, thank you very much. And also, speaking about the support, I forgot to show you. So here, when you are on Capacity4dev and you scroll down on any page, you have a footer. And when you click here on the help and support, you will be able to navigate to the different spaces. So you can really see step by step by the project. You can also just here, for example, navigate with the keyword. So you want to, for example, use the Anchor. Then you click on at Anchor, and it will get you to the step-by-step instructions. This is how it looks inside. You can also navigate the different sections, subcategories, how to join the group, what is the group, manage group, etc. Also, your question, what you just asked, is really good, what we can add into frequently asked questions. So what to do in case that I don't have access to the restricted document. So thank you for raising it, and we will also add it to the help and support, that the people should reach out to our support mailbox if they need access to something. So it's already noon, so 1 whole hour is already behind us. So thank you so much for connecting. and thank you very much for answering some of our questions. It was a really fruitful discussion, even though there were also some interesting comments and also questions. So thank you so much. We will get in touch with you via the thank you note, where you will receive also the PowerPoint presentation and the recording. And then we are sure that actually we will be in touch with you also in the near future, either as a user or as a space manager. So see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
You.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.